Hello and welcome back to Hollowponds Solo Sagas. So we are doing another one of our my thoughts on solo role-playing and creativity type things. And so what I thought because what just went through my head is I could say, many people have asked me on this channel, which is what lots of people say, but they haven't. Like one or two people have mentioned that they don't get what solo role-playing is, or they can't get their head around what solo role-playing is. Or one person said, well, how comes you don't cheat? So what I thought I would do is for one of these videos is I would go through answering that question. So what is solo role playing anyway? Also, I've been writing a GME for Lancer, and I actually wrote a foreword for once, which covered these subjects. So what I thought I'd do is I'd do a video on it. So what is solo role playing? So what we'll go through is, so if you don't know how it actually works, although there's loads of videos on this channel you could watch about how it works, but if you haven't got time, I'll just briefly go through how solo role-playing works. I'll briefly touch on the topic of cheating, and also I'll talk about combat, how you can approach combat, which also kind of links with cheating, combat, like chess, combat. So I'm also going to refer to notes. I have notes. I've got 3 pages of notes, and so I'll look down. Normally I don't need to do that because I don't script anything, but I don't want to miss anything. So every now and then I'll look down, and you might have cuts as I cut stuff out. As I look down, remember what I was going to say, and then I'll look back up again. That might get cut. I do apologise, and I do the cutting, and I'm not a trained editor in any way, shape or form. But enough of my nonsense. So, what is solo role-playing? Well, what we can do is if you know what role-playing is, I assume, so you compare it to role-playing. So with role-playing, you have a GM and you have a group of players. The GM comes up with the story normally, though you can have some cooperative storytelling narrative games, but normally the GM comes up with the story and the GM comes up with the rest of the cast and the ideas and answers the questions that the team has. Often, in the past, I have compared a normal tabletop role-playing game to a radio play. Do you remember radio plays? Or an oral play. Basically no visuals, just telling stories, a narrative play. Whereas you would have the director or the writer of the play, and you still could have the cast would contribute, but the cast plays their roles and the director or the writer has what happens in the story, a radio play. Solo role-playing is more like a stand-up comic or a one-person improvisational show where you have an idea of what you want to do, but you call for suggestions from the audience, and the audience would be the tools you use, which can be either dice or a GME or another type of tool like the Orkball GME or the Lance GME I'm writing. That these things help you, give you the inputs that the audience would give to tell your story. The essence of the solo role-playing experience is just the same as tabletop with a group. You set a scene. You ask some questions. So as a solo player, you ask some questions of the GME, or you ask some questions of the tools you're using. Flip a coin. Is there an orc in the room? Yes. As you would ask the GM. You then react to the outcome. Yes, there is. Okay, I'm going to attempt to do a stealth roll. I'm going to charge into combat. You then cycle back. You react, you resolve, you cycle back. So set a scene, ask some questions, react, resolve, cycle back. That is the loop of solo role-playing. It's the loop of all role-playing, really, when you boil down to it, but that is the loop of solo role-playing. So in essence, to recap, solo role-playing is the same as tabletop, but instead of getting your feedback from the GM, you're getting your feedback from your imagination and tools. It's the same as at the tabletop with a group of people, but you probably don't realise it because it's masked by all those people in the social interaction. It's that part. Moving on. So some people have said that they can't quite get their head around it. And so I'll come up with some points that we could do. So if you still can't get your head around it after that description, let's try some other ones. It's like writing a story but having dice to decide what happens. Have you ever seen Rory story cubes? There are various of these dice type things. It's a thing that you can do with children, or it's a narrative, an improvisational narrative tool where you roll some dice, you read off dice, and you try and make a story up on the fly. It's a bit like that, apart from you've got the rules and the framework. It's a bit like if you were to play an open world MMO. You play GTA 4 or Skyrim, and you come up with your own story. You start to interact with people and you have your own story. You give things background and you give things, backstory. We've been watching Mythic Quest. You give things backstory. You come up with your own evolving, what's it called? Hold on, I wrote it down. Emergent storytelling using the game as a tool. The game is giving you inputs, you do that. It's equivalent of you daydream a story. You daydream a story and you come up with a new thing, you think, oh, what would happen next? Oh, maybe this would happen next. Or if you've been watching, loads of people did this with Lost and various other TV series where you make up what you think happens next. A lot of the Star Wars, I don't know if Star Trek, but definitely Star Wars canon came with people making up the story. The robot bounty hunter, IG, whatever his name is, he was added in as a last minute thing by the props person who decided a robot bounty hunter would be cool, and so built one, and they weren't even sure if they were going to, correct me if I'm wrong about this, include him in the scene. Most of the background of that robot and how it became sentient, everything, that is canon that came from the fan base who just made it up. So it's where you make up the story yourself. Is it like writing a story? Not really, because you're using the random impulses from other things. Unless you're going to write a story and then you're going to use dice to help you decide, like Rory Story Cubes, to write a novel. Yes, then it's exactly the same. But otherwise, it's different. It has a different type of experience. So the best way to overcome that mental hurdle and to sort of first get your first toe in to working out, well, what is this, is just start off with one scene. Just imagine one scene and play through it. Find some tools or dice or flip a coin and then work out one scene, just narratively. Now, we'll now move on to what comes after that with flipping coins, is where someone once said, I had this comment once, I don't remember having more than one of these comments, but someone must, if one person says it, other people have thought it. How do you not cheat? Well, the reality is, when it comes to cheating in a game that you're playing by yourself, is if you play video games and you do save scumming, save scumming being where you know something difficult is coming up, so you do a save point, you then try it, the outcome isn't what you want, you quit, you come back to the save point and you keep trying until the outcome you want comes out. If that's cool and you play games like that, then if you decide you roll the dice and the outcome isn't what you wanted for the dice for your solo role-playing game and you decide to change it, that's fine, because that's fine with you. If you detest the idea of save scumming and you think you should just play it straight, then take the dice as they fall. The only way, and I responded to this comment this way with this, but this is openly, if you never read it, the only way you can really cheat at solo role-playing and actually fail at solo role-playing is if you don't play the way you enjoy and you're not getting fun out of it. If you play the way you enjoy, that is fine. There is no cheating involved. You're not cheating anyone. If you are cheating anyone, you're cheating yourself. And so you can't really do that. So if you like sticking the rules to the beginning and you decide I'm going to stick to the rules, then keep doing it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. If you like the randomness for surprises, keep doing that. In some games, you can watch me on the channel. In some games, I will come up with the story myself, and I like doing that. In other games, where like I did it with Cyberpunk. I came up with what I wanted to happen next, rolled the dice, the characters, because the dice decided to do something different, so fine, we did the different thing. All the stuff I prepared never got used, ever, because we did the different thing. It depends what brings you joy. You can't really cheat at it. I mean, we'll deal with combat next, and I'll tell you how. You can't really cheat at it. If you're enjoying yourself, if you are having fun, then you're not cheating. You're just having fun. The whole intents purpose is to be creative and have fun. So ask, how do you cheat? You can't cheat at solo role playing, really. If you make it up, then it's fine. If you decide to go by the dice, it's fine. Combat. Okay. So there are a few ways you can deal with combat in a solo role playing game. You can do the traditional way, which is you just play the rules of combat. Now, as we experienced in Across 1,000 Dead Worlds and with some of the other combat systems, that can mean that you have long periods of time where you're just rolling dice against yourself. That's fine. If you like, and I personally am quite partial to a skirmish game, quite partial to a solo skirmish game, played them early on the channel, and so I don't mind that with some rule systems. Other times it starts to get a bit of a grind. If you don't like that, you can instead lean towards a purely narrative way of describing the combat. You can not roll with the dice. You can have a few coin tosses so as you have the randomness, but beyond that you can just narratively describe. We have also done that on the channel, where we've purely narrated a combat with just a couple of skill rolls to find out what happens. That's equally fine, you can do that with combat. Finally, you can just abstract the whole of the thing out if you don't want to deal with the combat at all and just deal with, like, if you've got political machination or something, and you can just flip a coin and say side A1, side B1. Again, cheating. If you play chess against yourself, you can do it one of two ways. You can play chess against yourself and you can try and play as two people as tactically best as the two people will try and play. You can try and see who wins, A or B, depending on how you're going to play it. You can try tactically to approach them in two different ways. I'm not great at chess, so I can't give examples of this. Warhammer. You can play Warhammer against yourself. You can play Orcs against Death Knights, Death Guard. Fine. You can play the Orcs to the best of the capacity of how an Orc army would play, and the Death Knights best of the capacity, are they Titans, as they would play, and you can see who wins. That is one way of doing it. If you can put yourself in one footsteps, put yourself in the other's shoes, and then you can try and play equally to the best of the capability, that's fine. Equally so, you can really love the Death Knights, hate Orcs, play the Orcs awfully, so they set themselves up into traps, they walk into crossfire, they don't utilise their skills properly, and they absolutely get annihilated. If that's what you want to do, it's fine, you haven't cheated. What you've done is you've told a one-sided story. You knew what the outcome was going to be before it started. So I would say, like, I hope you enjoyed that, because you might as well just have narrated it and said the Death Guard one. Death Guard? Yes. I think I've changed their names 3 times in this. But there's that way. If you're fine doing it, or you can, one-page rules, or what I'm building for the Lancer GMI, you can use an AI script and process for one side. So you can sort of like take away some of that responsibility of you to come up with the tactics by running through a what would this role do type script and then playing it that way. You can still put them in the rubbish position and not use their skills properly if that's what you want to do, but that slightly takes away some of the tactics and slightly takes away some of that point. So basically, how combat works is it's making it the way that you want to play it, wherever you get the joy from. The one thing that I would suggest and tag on is for solo is describe things. Make it cinematic. Add things in. At the table, when you're playing with a GM, it's a bit difficult to do that because when the GM describes what the action is and the outcome is, some players enjoy that because they've had something described to them. Other players feel that their autonomy has been taken away from them and they don't like it. So I personally don't like it when my GM tells me what the move was like. I've played at PAX a few times and the GMs do it. I don't like it. Like, I want to describe the action from what my character did. So as a player, as a solo player, you can describe the action of everybody in that scene, and it adds to the immersion of it and it adds to the joy of it, if that's the thing you like doing. Because the essence of it is, it boils straight down to what I said in that first bit with the cycle, is you set the scene of the combat, you ask some questions by rolling dice and making attack rolls, you react and resolve. Repeat. It's the core of the whole of the process, is just that. Set the scene, ask some questions about the scene, Does the death guard kill that orc? Roll the dice, hits, roll the damage. Yes, it does. React to what happens next. Go back and set the next question in the next scene. I think that covers everything. So basically, what solo role-playing at its core is expressing your creativity through a medium. If you like to paint, then solo role-playing isn't the best way to express your creativity. If you like to actually write prose and just write a story, it's probably not the best way to express your creativity. If you like painting, paint a picture. If you like writing prose, write prose. If you like to express your creativity through the process of role-playing, which is on the edge to writing a story, I know a DM, Chris, and he took our campaign and he said he was going to write into a story. I think he started doing it, but I don't think he persevered. That's fine, because it's taking the actions and putting it into a story. Solo role-playing allows you to have that creativity, allows you to create characters. You're in a room by yourself, you can come up with funny voices if you want to. You can write the stuff down, you can do journaling if you want to. There's the technical implementation of solo role-playing, which is different to what we're discussing, which is what is it in essence. In essence, it's a vehicle for your creativity. And it's a way for you to play a game that you may not be able to play otherwise. So there's bits that we haven't skipped on, which would be like, why would you solo role play? We could do I think I've already done it, but we could do another video. I could do another one on why you might solo role play. But when it comes to what it is it's expressing that creative, imaginative, immersive experience on your own. Why you'd be doing it on your own, there are a multitude of other reasons why, but assuming you don't have a group to play with, assuming you don't have that capability, what it is getting the rules from the role-playing game and playing through it just on your own and using different tools to give you the answers to the questions in the set the scene, ask the questions, react and resolve, repeat. That's it. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully if you didn't know, if you already knew what solo role-playing was, potentially you've just had 17 minutes worth of your time that you're never getting back, and I do apologise. I've got a question to ask. Somebody mentioned wanting to know my process of making these videos, like the green screen behind, how I've done that, what tools I use to do videos. I don't know if anyone would want to see that. If you would, let me know in the comments below and we can see about saying that. If there is any other type of thing that you would like me to cover, put it in the comments below and we can see that too. And it would be nice to know how you would describe to someone. So if you are a solo role player, which I assume some of you are, if someone said to you, what is, not why, but what is solo role playing, what short descriptive way would you say what is solo role playing? And on that, I will leave that there. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched it all the way through, I do appreciate it very, very much. If I went over stuff too long, I do apologise. I don't script things. If you're a subscriber, thank you very much for being a subscriber. If you're not yet a subscriber and you like my witcherings, do consider subscribing. That would be an awesome source. It helps the channel grow. It helps push us out there. It's normal spiel. People have been saying this since the beginning of YouTube. Thank you so much to the Adventurers Guild. The Adventurers Guild, the names across the top, have joined the membership. There's a join button somewhere. YouTube said they're going to push it harder. They are financially supporting me, which I'm very, very thankful for. It is very, very kind of them. And I am eternally grateful to them. Thank you so much, Adventurers Guild. And we will leave it at that. I will see you probably for another one of these in 4 weeks' time. Otherwise, all of those lovely games we play, have fun, be creative. If you've never tried solo role-playing, grab the rules for your favourite role-playing game and some quiet time just for you and give it a go. Set the scene, ask some questions, resolve and react, repeat. See ya.